the dynamics of you and I getting to talk about exponential growth in the metaverse, it has been so helpful to me to have you there as just that voice to kind of calm and guide and walk through all this with me. And I'm thinking, you know what? Let's provide that for other people that are in the metaverse. Let's
So
get
good.
me and you on a stage talking metaverse stuff, talking encouragement, talking wisdom, talking spiritual stuff when applicable, talking about relationships, talking about marriage, children, talking about all this stuff with other people in the metaverse that are experiencing exponential growth.
Dude, that. Why wouldn't we do
that's right.
that?
That's right. Welcome to Well Metaverse, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrels navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride. Jason Earls back again on this podcast that we're doing. How you doing, my friend?
Back at it. I
Yeah.
just I love holding up my random unemployed alcoholic paraphernalia, man.
Man, I'll tell you what. That's the best investment I've ever made is to send you some TUA swag.
Absolutely, brother.
Earlier this
Absolutely.
week on Tuesday, we connected with Rhonda Corey on Talk is Cheap, and you were sporting the unemployed alcoholic swag there too. Thank you.
You're welcome, dude. Man, that was so much fun, bro.
Wasn't it? Man,
That
I
was a
love Rhonda.
blast, man.
She is so cool. Like, oh, yeah, I can't help but to smile every time I think of her. And then
Yeah.
to get together and play the games and, you know, and of course, I got my hand sanitizer.
Look at that. And I have nothing. Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks for nothing. Literally.
Yeah.
Dude, but what I loved about that was, dude, it was fun seeing you and I outside of the metaverse context talking about the metaverse. Dude,
That
I was like,
was
oh snap. I was like,
that was the
crap.
first time you and I have done that. You know, gone on something to just talk about the metaverse together, and I loved it. That was fun. Anybody out there that's listening that's got an opportunity and wants to talk metaverse stuff, man, Jason and I can do it.
Hey, we are your huckleberries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, it was I sat there and what of course, I don't know if everybody else is like this, but I can observe and evaluate myself while I'm doing something, evaluate my team as we're doing something. And dude, I was evaluating you and I as we were talking, and I was like, this is phenomenal. This is
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to be doing this more.
I
Cause
I
it was
agree.
yeah.
I agree. We gotta be doing this more. We gotta be talking about this. I mean, it's people need to be talking about. It. People need to be hearing about it. So let's do it. Let's
Let's do it.
yeah
Coming
yeah.
to a
You
city,
know
an event near you.
I got an idea. I got an idea of somebody. Actually, a couple people we can talk to. I'll see if I can uh, put something together. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Actually, speaking of which, I've been thinking about this podcast and what we're doing, and there's been some cool things that have happened in the metaverse. There's been some cool dynamic shifts in the way that this podcast is working, and I think that it's time that we start talking about doing season two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look
In
at
fact,
us.
I think that this episode may end up being the season one finale. And then I got some ideas I want to kick around with you for what season two might look like. What do you think about that?
That's great. I should have brought a doggone birthday hat and
That's right, right.
you know
Yeah.
some poppers or something like yo. We made it through one season. We think. No,
We think, right? Oh
we
man,
we've
yeah.
only had one episode that we had to can.
That's right. Yeah, I started listening back to that one, and I'm like, oh, where was my head at? Like I was just like out of it, not connecting, and
Oh yeah, we
oh
were all
well.
over the place. That was
Yeah,
funny though. I
yeah,
had family in the family who hadn't seen each other in 2 years,
yeah,
talking one room over, and I didn't have a condensing mic.
yeah.
I was like, "This is bad."
Yeah. Got to see your dad in it though. He
Yeah,
popped
that
in,
was
made a
cool.
cameo. That was
That was
good.
cool. I
Yeah,
love my parents, man. That's so cool.
yeah. I'll keep that. I'll keep that episode, and we'll file it away for. Yeah.
Here's what not to do on a podcast.
Man. But one of our other experimental episodes that we did was when we went into the metaverse and recorded. And there's some things coming up in the metaverse that I don't know exactly when they're going to happen, but I know they're going to happen. And I think it would be wise for us to transition to doing this regularly in front of a live audience in the metaverse.
That is cool. Let's go. Look at
Let's go.
we going we going to the Oprah show. We making it
That's right. That's
we
right.
making it the Oprah show.
Yeah, yeah. What's really cool about that is like the dynamics of you and I getting to talk about exponential growth in the metaverse. It has been so helpful to me to have you there as just that voice to kind of calm and guide and walk through all this with me. And I'm thinking, you know what? Let's provide that for other people that are in the metaverse. Let's
So
get
good.
me and you on a stage talking metaverse stuff, talking encouragement, talking wisdom, talking spiritual stuff when applicable, talking about relationships, talking about marriage, children, talking about all this stuff with other people in the metaverse that are experiencing exponential growth.
Dude, that why wouldn't we do
That's right. That's
that?
right. Yeah.
What's taking you so long to come up with this idea, buddy?
that's, that's
Jeez,
fair.
you're slacking, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think part of it might have been just a little bit selfish. Like, I'm getting so much value out of these conversations. I kind of want to hang on to that,
Yeah.
which we will. We'll hang on to that value, and we can talk a little. Well, I mean, actually, let me let me ask you this question because this came to mind as I was kind of thinking about this morning. I think Jason Earls, with help from collaborators, should build the Well Metaversed podcast platform in the metaverse. What do you think about
I like it. I've been toiling around and I hadn't even said anything to you.
that?
But it's man, I've been trying to think, man, what's my I know I have an influence in the metaverse, but I don't have a space in the metaverse.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And it's lacking. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, now and I've been it's funny, man. I've been thinking about this a lot. It's like maybe I talked to Aaron about it. Nah, maybe not. And even go back 2 or 3 podcasts ago, and talking about how, man, like we are afraid of the sting of
Yeah,
and so how we play it, the sting of failure, and so we rather stay in our comfort zone. So this is uberly comfortable for me, dude. It's like,
yeah,
hey, I could just show up, I talk, and but I just been thinking like, dude, it's more. It's too
yeah,
much. You talk too much about the metaverse to so many people. People are now confiding in you and consulting you on if they should even start building in the metaverse or what does it look like.
yeah.
and I don't have a space in the metaverse. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
I I
So
think that's I think that's the I think that's the way. I think that's the next step in here. Because also there's some other there's an initiative that my friend Oculos 410 is putting together with some community leaders, and it's called One Horizon, and
nice.
it's bringing together this the dynamics of the metaverse are not that much different than the dynamics of the regular world,
Right.
in that people tend to gravitate towards homogeneous groups of people to form their communities and cliques.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got communities that are developing that are relatively homogeneous throughout the metaverse, and the One Horizon initiative is to bring those together and have a launching point to where we can all come together. And dude, it's cool. It's really cool. And initially, I threw your name out there. I'm like, dude, this is a guy we got to get involved. And the response was, man, I listen to the podcast. I know him, and we have to get him involved for sure. But there's not enough people in here that recognize and see him yet. And I was like, all right, file that away, and then figure out how to solve that. And this is it,
Yeah. Let's do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Let's do, like, it's like no hiding. It's all right. Let's go.
yeah, yep,
Let's do it.
yeah. So I think so. Let's just talk timing and logistics
All
for
right.
a minute. I think so. Right now, we're recording episode 18, and this is set to air on June 21st, which is a Tuesday.
Okay.
And then I think we plan on doing a live premiere of the Well Metaverse podcast, season 2, episode 1, in your new world, the Well Metaverse podcast studio, and maybe that's part of I there will be more to discuss there, but that'll be a
Yeah.
piece of it. And we do that Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, and have a live studio audience in there. Have a guest. Probably start off with you and I kicking it around just a little bit, and then bring our guest out and turn 100% of the focus on them and help kick things around.
A whole new world.
Yeah, yeah. uh,
That is great.
yeah.
Let's do it, man.
Okay.
That's exciting. So, yeah, dude, it's funny because I'll tell you. Okay, I'll just let me just vomit
Yeah,
real quick about what I've been thinking
yeah,
about if Jason Earls was to have a world in Horizon Worlds in the metaverse.
yeah,
I would want it to be just that. I want it to be a place where people can come and it's like we're having some thought leading conversations. It's where people come and I don't like the idea of if people go to a space, they're just watching some screen. That's
yeah,
just to me that's counterproductive of the metaverse in a sense. So I wanted to have a space where one, like at moments there can be a stand-up comedy deal, or
yeah,
it could be a talk show, a podcast type deal.
yeah,
I want if I want to have some type of community event we can come to, but I also want to have a like a section outside or inside where there's that yard where if I wanted to play a game, we could go play a game,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
So, well, but it's a gathering space where people come just to hang out, but yet that hangout time is very, very impactful and intentional.
That's achievable. That everything you listed off there is very achievable. We can create that in the metaverse, and it'll be good. Yeah, I agree. I'm walking through mentally what you're talking about there, and I
Yeah.
see an inside space that's that's a stage that can be a switch can be flicked on and off on whether it's set up as a podcast type setting where there's a number of guests like kind of sitting and chilling,
Yeah.
or you can make all that stuff invisible and then it's just a stand up stage, and
Nice.
yeah, I think that's super cool. Yeah, that'll be that'll be good. And then also some area like in the Soapstone, I've got that backstage area that has like the logos of the different things that I'm involved with.
Yeah.
This being one of them, and um, I think that'd be a good idea. Just something in there to showcase how people can connect with you. The
Absolutely.
95 different platforms and avenues that people can find Jason Earls.
No doubt. And a whiteboard and a toy box with all kinds of toys and stuff. And then a
Yeah.
train. And then
I, I don't know why I just pictured the movie Big. Oh man, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. The I can't wait to like kind of get
oh,
rolling.
dude.
So and actually let's talk about this. Okay, so what's the process of building your world in Horizon Worlds? And to me, the first thing is what we're doing right now, and that's getting the rough vision. Like, okay, what do we want this space to accomplish? Everything that you
Right.
listed out, you talked about what it was going to look like, kind of,
Yeah.
but more so, you talked about what you want to happen there,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
that's it. That's the meat and potatoes of it, because it's you gotta understand what people are going to do there. So as we hammer that out, the next step is going to be to find collaborators, because
Yeah.
um, I've got some building skills, some scripting skills, but there are people that, I mean, this is what they do, and I mean, it's well worth teaming up with them, pairing up with them, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and letting them uh, run with the ideas and see what happens. So we'll start doing some of that. Of course, I mean the people that I collaborate with the Soapstone, Inspire Create Labs, like man, they're the best on the planet.
Crushers.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like I'll talk to them. Hopefully, they've got capacity and want to get plugged in. But if not, and maybe it's um, but there's a lot of great options for people to collaborate with that want to bite into this and be part of it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, because I've been thinking, yeah, dude, I'm not a welder, but dude, I love making wheels and like
huh,
inventing wheels. But the problem is, it takes a long time to invent a wheel.
yeah,
And
yeah,
why do that when somebody else has already invented
yeah,
it?
yeah,
So yeah, man, I would love, and part of me, I've been hesitant to even have this conversation or even to look into what does it take to really start to build, because I just, you know, the fear of wasting too much time and getting caught up in it. So I'm like,
yeah,
let me not bite that, elephant. Uh,
yeah.
but I think it's time. I've
Uh,
waited long enough.
Yeah, it's season two, baby. It's
Let's go. Let's get it.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really excited, dude. I'm trying not to talk, so I just don't start rambling because I'm super excited. I'm trying to calm myself down.
It's funny because this is how relationship dynamics should work. Like both or all or both people in the dynamics of a relationship should be kind of thinking about and leaning towards the same thing,
Yeah,
to where when the idea pops and it hits like, hey, should we do this, everybody's like, yeah.
let's do it.
Like coming back to something we've talked about many times on this, some things should be easy. you
Yeah,
know something should be easy, and the dynamics of, hey, do we want to go down this road and start this project? If it's not easy, then run.
Right.
I think last time we talked about that, you said, hey, that counts for relationships too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If it's a whole lot of work, man, get out of there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, man. Like even when we started, when we said, okay, we really need to bump up, you know, doing this podcast, presenting it to people, and we said, all right, we need to get it on YouTube more, both all of our platforms. Let's do it.
yeah,
And it was something that I asked, could you do? You like, that's gonna be a lot of work. And I was like, let's not do it. In fact, just give it to me.
yeah.
I'll do it. Let's. The theme is, it shouldn't be hard.
That's right.
That man, that helps with some great decision making.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was super cool and so refreshing because it's those things. It's those, it's those things that bog it down and will kill it.
Absolutely,
And to just to be able to stress free say, well, we're not doing that.
dude. That's freeing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
also to find the fun, creative, mental exercise of how can we make this easy, and the
Oh, yeah.
relief that comes from finding that easy solution. Like,
It's energizing.
it is. It really is. Like, what were we thinking in the first place?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and there's enough pieces that are hard in building out a vision and in doing something that the parts that should be easy, man, if they're not easy,
That's
run.
so good. That is so good. Dude, I'm
Super cool.
excited. Dude, you've got me think. My mind is going.
Yeah,
And modern, like, okay, what could we do if we got a well metaverse world? What could we do on a weekly, on a nightly basis to help keep, to keep people coming and keeping people engaged?
it's hard. In fact, I just had uh, somebody that a well-respected person in the metaverse who came to me and he's like, there really hasn't been anybody that's been able to replicate what's happened in the soapstone.
Yeah.
And the big thing is there's this community that's gelled around the soapstone. How the heck do you do that? and, and then he said, did you know that was going to happen, and did you know how to do that before you did it? I said, I'm just hoping somewhere along the lines I I figure out how it happened. but um, but that piece of it, when you talk about people engaging on the regular, there are some dynamics that are recognizable that I've
Right.
seen, and one, um, some of it's outside of our control, like the timing of everything uh,
Right.
was huge. I mean, there were comedy clubs before, and there have been a whole lot of comedy clubs after, but lightning struck at just that right
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
and we were able um, to find the people, because people
Right.
come where people are, and we were able to find the people, and that's a hard thing to replicate. That was a very
Absolutely.
special thing.
Yeah. And I just got to thinking. See, that's why I was saying, dude, calm down, because my mind gets to racing.
Yeah, yeah,
And one thing I've learned about this mind of mine, it being a good steward of, I cannot emphasize the what the book Strength Finders did for me,
yeah,
and understanding what my two strengths are, top two, and that ideation piece. And one of the weaknesses of ideation is when you get out, when when you have that strength, you get good ideas. Typically, you start talking about them before you think them through.
yeah. Which that's okay as long as you understand that and the people around
Absolutely,
understand that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so good, dude. You
So,
should be a
but
corporate.
but with that too, like so like I'm a big fan of crawl, then walk, then run,
Yeah.
and and in that, I think that when you start talking community, this, I'm getting into it now, like
Yeah, me too, man. And I'll tell you why in a second.
yeah. But so let's crawl first and figure out one focused gathering point, and then say, okay, let's build this.
Yeah.
And there's been some people like um, there's a great comedy club in the metaverse right now called Simon Says Laugh, and they came in and initially they wanted to build like what there is at the Soapstone, which is basically a 24/7 hangout area.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately Jeff Ent was like, boy, that's we're not going to be able to do that. So what they did is they pivoted in a really good way, and they said, hey, we're going to have very focused and specific shows where we want our world to be empty until it's showtime, and then we want to fill it up, have the show, and then empty it out. Um,
Smart.
yeah, it's really smart because then again, like then people know that okay, this is the time, and
Right.
they put on a good show. In fact, we've had some crossover of talent that's been at the Soapstone and been there, um, and they're doing great things. In Yeah, it's really cool. But so that's what I would say with yours too. Let's figure out one thing
Yeah.
and build excitement around that.
I love it, dude. I love that being in the podcast space. That's just so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So cool, man. Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and because I was thinking, initially, I eat, live, and breathe soapstone, so
Yeah.
everything automatically goes soapstone, and I'm thinking about this, like, okay, how are we going to do this? And I'm like, no, that's not it. It's not. Um, it's got to be its own space, and if it's going to be its own space, it should be under your umbrella, and with you,
Wow.
leading the charge there.
Dude, that's my instinct was like, no, buddy, let's both of us do it. But I get what you're saying just from even previous conversations. So
Yeah.
I'm honored. That's weird.
Super cool.
Super awesome, dude. Super awesome. I got
Yeah.
I need to confess something, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you something that's in my creative space. This is from yesterday.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Little Starbucks.
This was from the day before yesterday, and this is from this was from yesterday. No, day before yesterday. So yesterday, day before yesterday, the day before that, and then I got this plate from lunch yesterday, and then I got a banana peel from the day before yesterday. So but your workspace looks pretty clean. Your creative space right now. Does it stay like that, or are you like me? When you get to creating, do you become a little splashy?
So there's on camera and there's off camera. you know, Rhonda was talking about that too, like
Absolutely.
because she's just got the most put together backdrop, and I
It's
mean everything.
amazing.
And she's like, yeah, this is a 10 by 10 area in my house,
Right.
like you know. But yeah, man, and yeah, I don't want to read too much into what you're saying because I want to hear you flesh that out. But yeah, I mean, there's papers on the floor over there. There's a tripod over there. There's a whiteboard with random thoughts over there. There's a half open door. Like
Yeah.
it gets cluttered.
Yeah. So the reason why I brought that up because I noticed how my eyes kept drifting over here,
Mm,
and I was distracted by these two empty Starbucks cups. I'm like, that is disgusting, Jason Earls.
mm.
But there's also like, dude, you haven't even had coffee this morning. And so I just started evaluating, like, hey, those were just red flags to me. Those two things, being distracted by it and then thinking that I didn't have coffee. I'm like, well, flags on the play. So I just decided to confess it, which then led to, oh snap, I got some two other things just laying around. So
Gotcha.
that just means I need to slow down and clean up behind myself and think through stuff. That's all I have to say about that. You can dig deeper, but that's what I just thought. Ask some heavier questions if you want.
Well, I kind of do want, because you know the the tone of your voice as you're talking about that, it's a little bit different than our typical conversation, and it feels like there is something deeper there, like a little bit of shame maybe.
Well, notice it wasn't I like it's out of camera, so you didn't know,
Yeah.
but I brought it. But I do. If everyone's looking at this video and they see production note, evaluate myself, I notice how my eyes kept going over there. Like, what's that about? Now, do know that this morning, I yesterday I didn't do my normal morning routine. Probably didn't do it the day before yesterday. So I think I've had one very unproductive day this week, and I'm getting my equilibrium back just from having my two college kids home. We drove back. I drove all through the night to get them home. So I need a week to kind of when I pull an all nighter at my age, dude, it takes a
Mhm.
week to recover.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but this morning, doing my morning routine. So my morning routine looks like I wake up, of course, do the bear nature call, uh, and then I will read. In particular, I read my Bible, uh, and then I will pause to think about what I just read, and then I will, based off of what I think about, then I begin to evaluate myself. It's kind of like this
Mm.
morning, but I don't want to say cleanse for the day, but it's actually a because my cleanse for that day and thinking through what I just read could be something that's in the coffers from 2 years ago,
Mm.
something that's lingering, from this current month, this current week,
Yeah.
and I take a hard look at myself, and then I try to down 32 ounces of water,
Mm.
and and then after that I'll maybe catch up on some current events, look at the news or read some news articles, and then go eat some breakfast and stuff like that. So because I had a heavy, it wasn't heavy, but the evaluation that I did of myself based off of what I read just had me really looking at some deep stuff within myself. And so I think that's just a spillover. And then when we had the metaverse, the well metaverse conversation, and how I was trying to calm myself down, I saw another part of just I'm not gonna say a flaw, just a weak spot, just like sometimes running too fast, slow down. And I think this stuff is a result of not cleaning up behind myself, is a result of running too fast and
Hmm.
not thinking things through. So that's why I was on my mind, and that's where I am.
Man, thanks for sharing that. That's there's a lot there. I mean, you got into your morning routine
Hmm.
on the value of that, and how you go through that. You shared about the importance of that, and how when it gets disrupted, like everything gets shaky.
Yeah, absolutely.
How getting busy with life and pulling the all nighter, and how disruptive uh, that is. Um, and man, I got to tell you, um, your routine, your priorities, the things that you value, and the things that you make sure you're doing, um, those contribute a great deal to your productivity, to your ability to make an impact.
Mm,
But I know with me, oftentimes I got to cut myself some slack.
yeah.
Like it's easy for me to you know it's easy for me to get off of my rhythm and then have that start to spiral to where I'm looking negatively at myself because,
Right.
not only did I not get the value from doing something that I know I should have been doing, but it turns even negative to where it's like, oh, I'm I'm worse off. You know what I'm saying there?
That's so good. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you saw that. Keep going. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm just that you just helped me see something.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I mean that was it.
So, what a little bit more insight to of myself to everybody out here. One thing that as I look back over my life that I've consistently wrestled with is a lack of confidence and self worth.
Mm,
Uh, Now, notice what I said because some people are like, oh, I didn't know that about you. Like, really? I'm like, yo, so notice what I said. I didn't say I get beat down
mm-hmm,
by a lack of confidence. It's something that a weak point that I have based off whatever that I've had to wrestle with my entire life. It doesn't mean that I get beat down. Just know I'm a freaking world champion, baby.
yeah.
You know, like, hey, a world champion wrestler, he still wrestles. He's just
Yeah.
a freaking champion of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's certain things that I'm not gonna say haunt us. Uh, there's a verse that says what where this guy's talking. One of the main writers of the New Testament, he was like, "Yo, man, I've got this weakness, this thorn in
Mm,
my flesh, and I've asked God to take this thing away several times." Because it consistently nags at me, it eats me away, regardless of how successful I am. I find this thing still nibbling at me. That's this weakness of mine,
mm,
and I've asked God to take this thing away. But God had it said, my grace is sufficient.
mm,
In other words, when you need what you need, you look to me to do what you can't do.
yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm wrestling with this thing, it comes out of nowhere.
Mm,
This negative looking at myself negatively, thinking that I can't. It shows up sometimes at directly after in an instance after my most successful moments,
mm,
after a high, and sometimes it's low just to kind of keep me down there. But God's like, my grace is sufficient for you. What is grace? Grace is when you get something that you don't deserve. And what you just reminded me of, my dear friend, is that this this lack of confidence or this lack of self-worth, I'm always looking at the negative part of me. Like, there you go
mm,
again.
mm,
Man, you had a great moment and then you ruined it by running too fast.
mm,
But like you say, man, you like part of it is just cutting yourself some slack,
yeah.
not being too hard on yourself. There's this other verse that says that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus saying to the Christian, the one who follows after him, was like, "Yo, I came to make your life better, to give you abundant
Mm-hmm,
life. This enemy over here, in every waking moment, he wants to destroy you. He wants to steal whatever it is that you've got going for you. And oftentimes, it's that voice of that doggone thief that
mm,
shows up in my life in moments of success to try to rob me from it. It's like in wrestling back in the day, the dude to be winning, and then all of a sudden somebody come out the locker room and start beating him on, and then the crowd goes, and he's got to get up and try to find his strength.
yeah.
And our strength is in God's grace, like you just said, not being too hard uh, on myself or ourselves. So I just made that connection in this moment when you said that.
I have so much admiration for you, my friend. Uh, it is difficult to admit. what we struggle with. And man, oh man, and that is like there's I guarantee there are people, not somebody, there are people listening to this that are like, oh, I struggle with that same thing and I'm just now identifying it.
Wow.
So dude, your transparency, your ability to pick up a Starbucks cup and be like, ah, oh, something's something's not right here,
Yeah.
and then dig deep and share, dude. Oh, you you are so incredibly valuable. You are so incredibly giving and transparent and genuine. Like man, it has impacted me far more than you know. It's impacted people that I've talked to. Like
Mm.
somebody just came up to me the other day, and he's a good friend of mine. He's somebody that's very involved in the soapstone, and he's like, man, I have been just waiting to meet Jason. I need to meet him and talk to him, And I'm like, you'll get your chance.
Yeah.
But man, you make an incredible impact with your strengths and with your weaknesses.
I, yes, and I is who I is. That's
Yeah.
yeah. It's like one thing I
Is that
know,
Popeye? If I'm
right?
yeah.
And I think I said this on here before, man. But my dad, Robert Earls Senior, taught me when I was in college, dude, stop trying to be somebody else.
Mm, yeah,
If people are trying to love you, if people are trying to like you, and you're not being yourself, you make it impossible for them to like you or to love you because you're giving them somebody else.
yeah,
And that dude, that just taught me so much. I'm like, that's right. I'm gonna be who I am. I don't have anything to hide. Yeah, I got 3 coffee cups
yeah.
and didn't have any coffee this morning. There's a half, like a 1/8 filled water bottle over here. It's like the empty water bottle that I have, man. But again, it's I am who I am, and I know there's value in authenticity in us being ourselves.
Yep. Yeah.
So, and one principle that I really want to learn to do well is the same dude, Paul, that wrote to these group of Jesus followers, dude. He said, "Man, don't brag on yourself. Boast in your weaknesses."
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
if you go brag on something, brag about how weak you are, so people can see the awesome God that you follow and how you're getting over those weaknesses. So all of us are jacked up.
that is
I'm
the
just
conclusion of season one. Like that's the big takeaway.
absolutely all of us are
Yeah.
jacked up. And that's
Yeah.
why God consistently gives us different seasons to
Yes.
make it better. See what I
Yeah.
did?
Yeah. Oh man, like I feel like we still have time left, but man, maybe that's the conclusion right there because that's so good. Oh man, actually, I mean, in all seriousness, maybe that is the conclusion because like, I mean, maybe we don't even like dig deeper than that, and just we just let it sit and simmer,
Yeah.
and yeah, actually, I think that's
All
what we
right.
do. What do you think?
That's good. I'm with it. It makes sense. My only hesitation is do we go over what was missed last week? Because the monetization is a big deal.
We do need to talk. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
let
I'm
me tee
gonna
it up.
edit this part.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want?
yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, here's what you got to know. There was this podcast that we did, and I was in the midst of. I was in the Airbnb. I didn't have my computer. Didn't know that our system needed a computer, so I tried to do it on my iPad. It didn't work. We had to do it on Zoom. And Aaron looked at the footage. Is like, oh, this is we can't use this. But in this podcast, we talked about something very important, a huge, huge milestone for my brother here. And I just don't want us to end the podcast without us rehashing. what was missed on the missing episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to announce that my man Aaron Sorrels, the unemployed alcoholic, in all of his ventures, the Soapstone has reached a new level of impact in many different areas through this thing called monetization. This is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Cue the band. Everybody, start the parade. Let the parade begins because this is life changing.
Oh,
Boom.
oh, man, thank you for uh, bringing that up because you're right. Like
Yeah.
this is a big piece of the seasons changing
Mm.
because the soapstone, while it has been a mission, it has been an adventure, it has been all these things, it is now a moneymaker.
Wow.
Not instead of all those other great things,
Right.
but in addition to. And and having some funds come in will allow us to do bigger and better things. This is really exciting. And I'll tell you what, flipping the switch and giving people the opportunity to participate financially, like
Uh-huh.
that's a scary thing.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing that we've had some podcasts talking about the fear of hiding in not pursuing financial goals and things like that, because all that prepped for me being able to confidently flip that switch and say, here is an opportunity for you to support what we're doing financially, for to engage monetarily, and people have responded. It's been good. It's been good. We created this thing called the Founders Wall, which, to tell you the truth, it may or may not stay called the Founders Wall. Some people like the name the Flounders Wall, but we might change the name to something that's a little bit easier for people to engage with. A lot of people are like, "Well, I didn't found this thing," uh, which that makes sense. And the reason people are engaging is because they've had good experiences and they just want to contribute. They want to support.
Soapstone's greatest stoners. That's
I, there's been a debate on whether we are soapstoners or if we're soapstonians.
That's funny.
Yeah. I
Just,
think we're going to land on. I actually right now there's a poll in the Team Soapstone
I
Facebook
missed it.
group. Yeah, and that's asking people what they think. And right now, I think what's in the lead is Friends of the Soapstone. So like, and then the big wall when people are in World, it can say Welcome Friends of the Soapstone, and their names will be up there. And then the larger list, which by the way, this launched a little bit over a week ago, and there have been almost 100 people that have said, "Count me in. I'm part of this thing," uh, which is
Man, I like the idea of like something that's funny and like it's a motivation. It'll be fun to get your name on there. Like right now it's prestigious. It's
mm-hmm.
it's a it's saying, hey, I believe in it, I support it. Uh but man, if it could be something funny, like, hey man, I'm a soap stoner.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just think that's my 2 cents. Don't go with what I'm thinking, but I just think that somehow that could be funny.
I,
And you know what? I'm gonna get my name on the stoner wall. Some people have the wrong motivation, but but it's just funny. Me, I like the fact that I could say I'm an official soap stoner. That is
yeah.
in a pure sense, in
Yeah.
a really true soapstone uh, sense.
Well, and so here's some things that are coming up because like Meta and Horizon, they're doing the crawl, walk, run
Yeah,
when it comes to monetization, and right now they're crawling. There's a handful of creators that they've invited to participate in like this early access thing, and there's also going to be a lot more like ways to do things. At some point, they're going to have, and this isn't insider information. This isn't based on anything that anybody's told me. This is based on actually Mark Zuckerberg's Metaverse address from, geez, almost a year ago or 9 months ago now. Um, feels like 10 years ago, but in there he talked about people being able to purchase like clothing that they can take from world to world and even from platform to platform with their avatar. So at some point, we're going to have T-shirts that
Wow.
people can get, and that's where like I'm a soap stoner or I'm a
Yeah.
soapstonian. I could see the two of those coming in there and being pretty cool.
That's
That's
great.
yeah. Yeah,
I
so and that all sorry, that also is part of what I was thinking with the founders. Like this is the foundation. This is the first thing. Um, and there's going to be a lot more. I've got another idea that oh man, it's going to be cool. I'm going to talk about it here even though, you know what? Hold things with an open hand, right? And
well,
but
shit, because I just had an idea too, and I was like, do I talk about this now or do I wait and just talk to him about it offline?
right, right. I don't know. We'll do a poll. Audience member? No.
Right, that's funny.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, and I'll edit it if need be. But the idea that I have, like right now, they have what's called a durable sale, and that means somebody purchases it one time, and then that's that.
Yeah.
But but at some point, they will come out with consumable sale, where people can buy it and then use it, uh, and and I want to make like chuckle nuggets that when somebody's on stage, the person who bought a chuckle nugget can share that with the person on stage, and then the person on stage gets 1 point towards the most entertaining, and the
Oh
person
wow.
who shares it gets 1 point towards the most supportive. And then we can have
Wow.
leaderboards with different merchandise and prizes and things throughout the week. But that'll give a little bit of incentive, and that'll give people an opportunity that, not for a
Oh.
gabillion dollars, but for a reasonable, I don't know what it'll be like. Maybe maybe it'll be like 5 chuckle nuggets for
Yeah.
$2 or something. I don't
Right.
know. What
That's
was your
amazing.
idea, or what's your thoughts on
So
that?
mine is, yeah, dude. I love it. I love it because it's at a minimal cost, and it's, man, it's just it's a way to keep people encouraged. It's a way to encourage encouragers.
Yeah,
Um, I'm always trying to find ways to help reinforce or encouraging. I just, my life was transformed when I saw two siblings just honor and encourage each other. It was
mm,
unbelievable. And I asked their parent, they were actually in foster care, and I said, how in the world did they learn how to do that? And he said, man, it's just easy. I would see them encouraging each other, and I would reward them and make a big deal out of
mm,
it whenever
mm,
I could catch them.
mm,
And so that just became part of their regular way of operating. I was like, man, that is the most brilliant parenting thing I've ever heard.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, so I'm always thinking, how does that translate with other things, like with other people? So you saying, hey, they get a point for actually giving a chuckle nugget, and it'd be cool. Like over this week, the number one person was this person or this person. Be some cool rewards to give. Awards like,
yeah.
hey, you get this badge because you were Soapstone's top performer
Mm-hmm.
for the week. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I think my cord came out, so don't say anything yet. I'll keep talking till my cord comes out. There you go. It's back.
And that's all I've got to say about that.
Talking, I missed that.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's cool. And I saw the as we were talking about that, I saw the gears start turning with you. What's your idea? Let's talk.
So I've got to do some pretty cool things over the past, I'd say, 10 years with comedy.
Hmm.
Been in been in the rooms with some very influential people that I never dreamed about. they had one guy come in this office of this. I was in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado, at this think tank type
Mm,
deal. In walks this guy. They were like, Jason, you need to meet him. And he just thought he created some. He was one of the first people to create monetized games.
mm,
And he said this. He said the new 49er gold rush of 1849 is the video game industry,
mm-hmm,
in particular, video game apps. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, here's the thing. What we're going to do, what we're doing, what's being created now is where you're creating these games and where people buy into these games. So, like, part of it's free. You come in and then you get to fight. But if you want to upload this weapon, you got to pay a certain amount. If you upload this weapon, he said, and then, okay, that's good. But how do you get people even more involved? He said, what you do is you establish teams or communities all over the world.
mm,
So at one point, if everybody's on your team and you build this fort, your fort can be attacked anytime. So the more people in the army that attacks your fort, they're able to take over. So that person from that community actually gets people to start playing and attack your fort. You don't want them to attack your fort. You're getting other people to play, and all these people are paying in.
mm,
And I just thought, wow, that's what most of these apps are now.
yeah,
And I was like, I talked to this dude 10 years ago,
yeah,
and I remember him saying that, like, man, I need, it'd be cool to like be able to get in and help create some of these games. But I just was never like, let me call my friend who's working on some games.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what I was thinking was, how do you apply that same concept with the soapstone? It's okay if I'm buying these chuckle nuggets and I want to be the top comedian in the soapstone for the month. I need to get my friends to come in and do chuckle nuggets.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I get okay? Well, I'm up against this comedian. Like, and how do you do that stuff? How do you create even games that become uh that help people come back, inspire them to come back? So
That that makes a lot of sense there, because if it's say it's a weekly tally, you
yeah,
know, halfway through the week, you could say, hey, here's the leaderboard,
right,
and then because people will have their favorite horse in the race,
yeah,
and if they're in second, I could see that encouraging uh, people back and forth to um, to do all that. That I like that.
yeah. You could even have comedy battles or trivia
Yeah,
battles.
yeah,
Karaoke bot. Like have different
yeah,
categories. Like, okay,
yeah.
these two, okay, these are maybe have them quarterly. So here are the quarterly leaders for
Oh
this
yeah.
quarter. Now we're
Hmm.
gonna have, okay, it's gonna be a sing off. It's gonna be, whatever it is.
That's a good idea right there. But I sure am glad that we record these. But maybe have it quarterly, or because the pace of everything's so fast in the metaverse, maybe have it monthly,
Yeah,
and at the end of the month, maybe it's the top five get to perform, and there's votes that night,
right.
and it's the winner takes, not winner takes all. Everybody will get
Yeah,
something, but winner takes most for
absolutely.
for that night. That's
And have different categories. Yeah, like
yeah,
that could even okay, you're funny, okay, but tonight, this that now is the one liner. Who can come
yeah,
up with the quickest, the most one liners in 30 seconds or a minute?
yeah, yeah,
Then have the karaoke contest. Just dance and
yeah.
sing.
Well, and we have on Tuesday nights we have trivia that goes on, and
Yeah.
it could um, the different day could count towards different stuff. And then of course improv. We've got improv, which is
Oh, dude,
phenomenal, and
that's
yeah, it's
yeah. Vote by Chuckle Nuggets.
yeah. Chuckle Nuggets. I thought of the Chuckle Nuggets like way back like when I first thought of this, like, oh, this is what I need to build the biggest comedy club in the
Yeah.
metaverse, blah blah blah. It's going to be clean comedy land, and we will have Chuckle Nuggets, and then and then of course, like every bit of my vision was completely off of what it turned into,
Right.
except little pieces come
It's
back
coming back.
around. Yep.
Visionary. Write all that stuff down. Even though you can't use it, it'll come back. The opportunity to come back for
Yep. Or find a good friend and start recording a podcast. So you've got to record
it.
it.
Absolutely.
you know, man,
So good.
this feels like a season concluding and a new season starting. And then we're going to have a lot of fun between seasons. Like I think you and we got to still be connecting every Friday at least to get into the metaverse, and not we don't have to record, we don't have to produce,
Right.
but just start spending some time, start together, kind of popping from place to place, and figuring out what to do, and starting to build the collaboration team to build out Jason Land or whatever
I love it.
it's going to be called there. Uh, good good stuff. Good stuff. Or yeah. We got that. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. And then by the time this airs, I think this is going to air June 21st, and then I think June 24th, which is a Friday.
Whoa.
11 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Oh, no, wait, 10 a.m. Central. We will have our first live. Not first, I guess we did a test run this season, but we will have
Yeah.
the Metaverse podcast from the new location.
Of in the Serious Comedy Society. I'm just playing. That's
Seriously, all right, all
well,
right.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing stuff out there. They used to
Yeah,
be, they used to be the name of my comedy business slash ministry slash whatever you want to call it organization. I used to call it Serious Comedy.
yeah.
Presenting a serious message season with comedy. I was like, you know what? That's kind of that tagline is kind.
I think it needs to be actually now thinking about it. I think it needs to be Jason Earls Productions. That's the name
That's
of the place.
yeah. That and that's when I first started doing this. Somebody, my first web designer, said you need to push your name, and I was like, nah, I don't need to push my name. That's me. That's all about me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. Let's name it something else. And then 10 years later, I had to come back like, yeah, branding's sake, we need to go with Jason Earls. So I
yeah,
had to, jasonearls.com. So now, and as I've been thinking about what would I call my metaverse world, what would I call it? Do I go back to Serious Comedy Society? That's what I was thinking. But then I was like, branding. My name has to be in it,
yeah.
which is very uncomfortable for me to say.
Yeah. Well, and to me, Jason Earls Productions, like when you go back to way back earlier in this episode, when you started talking about what you want to have happening, what you
Yeah,
want people to be doing in there, that all falls under the category of Jason Earls Productions.
indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely, indeed. Yep. Well, look at there. Come to Jason Earls Productions world.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we just got to go make it happen.
Right. Yeah.
Now we're going down a runway,
Right.
and we don't even know what this thing's gonna look like. Here we go with
That's it. But
season
just
two.
don't worry about it. Just go get on the runway and start driving, pulling off.
All right. And if you don't recognize that callback, go back and listen to episode 1 of season 1. And we have now come full circle with season
Wow.
1 of the Metaverse podcast.
Ba, 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 ba. Such a pleasure, my friend. Such a pleasure, dude. This is so much fun.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.